Welcome to Sassy, Soulful, and Sensitive, the podcast for introverts, empaths, and highly sensitive people. I'm your host, Cam Nichols, and I'm here to guide and explore with you how to tune into your intuition, step into your radical self, and find your voice. If you want to ditch the feeling of being a tortured, out-of-place soul in this great big world, and learn how to speak up for all of your wants and needs and create a more peaceful, content, and empowered life, all while having more fun, keep listening. What up, my beautiful people? Hope you're doing well. Sending you some love from Salt Lake City, Utah, where it is freezing cold. So today I want to talk about meaningful relationships, and it's February, so of course I'm going to be talking about relationships. And originally when I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about, I'm like, oh yes, relationship with ourselves. That's where it all starts. And then I was like, that's nice and all, but didn't we just talk about that like all through January? I mean, I could spend ton of time always talking about the love and relationship we have with ourselves, but things that make life joyful and worth living is really these connections that we have with other humans, and our pets, of course, all the animals. But one thing that I want to touch base on in creating meaningful relationships is that it is all created in your mind. I once had a client, we were working on their relationship with their spouse, and they're like, I just want to feel more connected. And as we were coaching, it was actually really cool because I was asking them questions, and the result that they came to was, it is impossible for me to be connected with my spouse. Like, we are literally two separate human beings. And it was just like this mind-blowing moment, because I think oftentimes with relationships, and I know that I definitely felt this way when I was young and I wanted to be in a relationship, and being raised on Disney culture and like happily ever after relationships, and that this idea that other humans, once we're in a relationship, it's like we're trying to find our other half. We're trying to find people that this one person, specifically for monogamy, right? Like, it's like there's this one person out there who will just complete me. They will like completely even me out, and everything will just be happy hunky-dory. As adults, and those of us who have been in a relationship, that is not how it works, monogamous or not. But it truly does come from that feeling of connected, and being in relationship with others is all completely in the mind. And an example I like to use with this is like Oprah. I love me some Oprah. I have a very personal relationship with Oprah, and she, like, we just think the best of each other. Like, we are buds. She thinks so highly of me, and I just think she's a genius. And most of you, as I'm saying this, are like, bitch, you don't know Oprah. And you know what? You're right. I don't. I've never met her in person. She would probably not know my name. Although, I can always hope, right? One day. She probably wouldn't recognize my name, recognize my face, know who I am. But I still have a relationship with her. And I think about this when back in my corporate years, right? Like, I would have relationships with people based off one interaction. And it was like, yeah, I really liked them, or they rubbed me the wrong way. It's all created in the mind. These things that we think about other people are very, very rarely based in fact, which is totally fine, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But just know, like, as you are working on cultivating these meaningful relationships in your life, you want to think about how you're connected to them. And some people, I was actually really hesitant to do a podcast or even just focus on meaningful relationships just because there's a lot of personal stuff happening in my own personal life with relationships that have been very, very difficult to watch and experience. And kind of I was actually getting coaching on this today of there's some conversations that I need to have that I want to have, and I'm scared to have them, right? I don't know how the other person's going to react. I don't know what they're going to think of me after the conversation. And kind of what I was able to get coached through, and what I really came to learn for myself was like, I can't control what the other person thinks or does, but the thing that I think they should be doing, I'm over here not doing it myself. I was like, I want them to be an emotional adult, own their stuff, and then here I am not doing the same thing, right? I was doubting whether I should have the conversation, whether I should just let it go, and it's like, no, like I cannot control. None of us can control what other people think. We can influence, we can manipulate, we can like do all of those things to try to get people to look at us favorably. But the fact is, we cannot control what they think of us. You could do something really nice for someone, and they're going to look at it and be like, oh, that's not genuine. I totally feel like negative juju from you. It's totally self-serving, right? And I just say this as an example, but it just goes to show that it's all created in the mind, right? It's all created by us. And then we are taking that projection and putting it on the other person. And so as you are cultivating these relationships in your life, yes, put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to have tough conversations and set boundaries, which we are absolutely going to be talking about at a later date. But know that when you put yourself out there, you are the one with power and control. You are the one that gets to own your experience. Because one of the things that I hate in the coaching world is like, oh, it's just a thought. Think differently. Like, the human mind and emotions are way more complicated than that, right? So if someone says something hurtful, really, they just said words to me, and I'm choosing to think something that makes me feel hurt. Like, that is fact. They might have an intent to hurt me, and so yeah, that makes that thought easier. But the fact is like, they said something and now I feel hurt. And it's okay to honor that hurt. And I think a lot of us as introverts and homebodies and sensitive people and empaths, and a lot of the time it can be just so much easier to isolate and not have relationships, because they do take effort, they do take work. And here's the beauty. If you get nothing else out of today's episode, I want you to take this part to heart. Find the people that will allow you to have, nurture, and hold a relationship in the way that feels good to you. And an example of that, I feel so fortunate for the types of friends I have. Like, we thank each other all the time for not being high maintenance, and we constantly reassure each other of like, it's okay that you didn't text me back for 3 days or a week or whatever. And it's like, no, we just want to sit in each other's energy and presence. And even if you are feeling low, like, I'm willing to, like, I still want to be in your energy and help support you through that time. And if you don't feel like you're up to that, that's totally fine. But know that I love and support you from a distance, right? So the relationships that you have, that you cultivate, you really want to find ones that work for you. And yes, within relationships, there's give and take and compromise and boundaries and conversations and all of that. And all of that is important. But it's also important not to force yourself into this idea of what a relationship should look like. And when I'm saying relationship, I'm talking friendship, romance, familial, like any of the above. any type of connection or relationship with another human. Find your people. Find the people that accept you for who you are, respect what you need, and practice speaking up on what those needs and those wants are. There's nothing wrong. Like, there's so many amazing people out there in the world. And there are, like, I have some people in my mind right now that I'm like, they are great people. They're nice, they're friendly, and I'm okay not pursuing a close relationship with them. And that has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with me. Where I want to put my energy, the types of things that I want to do. We can choose not to pursue relationships and it not be a negative thing about the other person. And I think that's something that we can often get caught up in. It's like, oh, especially for us people pleasers, right? It's like, we want everyone to like us and we'll do everything and everyone needs to be treated the same. And that's just not true. And when you can allow that to be true for you, there's so much freedom. So meaningful relationships, they're created in the mind. It's all just in your head. And you want to find the people that can have a similar relationship in their own head that you have in yours. That's really what it's about. And no, things aren't going to be perfect. There's still going to be tough conversations. You're still going to have to set boundaries. But at the core, there's a level of respect and ownership of your thoughts about the other person. That's the want match. That is what you want to find in order to have meaningful relationships. One last piece that I want to share is we often talk about love, right? Different kinds of love. And strangely enough, the word love in English only has like one definition, but in other languages, they have very specific definitive words, separate words for each kind of love, right? So there's a word for romantic love and familial love and love for a pet. And so when I first learned that, I was like, holy shit, what? That's amazing. Why don't we have that in English? Like, what the hell? But then the more that I just kind of sat with it, I'm like, how beautiful is that? And the more that we kind of expand our definition of love, and in a way, separate it out into those categories, acquaintance love, love for these people because they're nice, even if I don't want to pursue a deeper relationship with them, right? All of it can be beautiful. So I feel like I have so much more to say, and also I'm tired of saying and speaking. So I think right now we're just going to end it here. And I hope this gave you some things to think about as far as finding and creating meaningful relationships in your lives. And like over the next several weeks, like I'm going to be continuing to talk about meaningful relationships and different aspects of them. So stay tuned, because relationships are fire and we got some shit to burn in all the good ways. So as always, my friend, until next time, remember, shining bright gives others permission to shine as well. Take care. Hey, I just wanted to say thank you so much for listening. Be sure to follow, rate, and review the show wherever you get your podcast, especially if you really liked it. If you didn't like it though, like, don't even worry about it. Also, head on over to coachwithcam.com, where I have a guided meditation I'd love to gift you, along with 3 of my favorite mini trainings. You'll also be able to see what webinars or programs or other offerings I have coming up. Change how you show up for yourself in this world? Then go out and change the world.